Carrie Bach here, integrative and functional medicine dietitian, and today we're talking about how to eat well on a budget. You're already well on your way because of all of the meal planning we've done in the past 2 videos, but today I'd like to go over 6 additional tips to help you mind your budget over the course of this challenge and hopefully into the future. The first tip is pretty simple. Actually check out those weekly ads and do so before you even start planning your menu. Really look at the protein foods, which tend to be the most expensive, and see if there's something there that you can build from for a meal or 2 over the course of the week. For example, this week there are some fresh Alaskan salmon fillets for $6.99 a pound. So for those of us who eat salmon, we know that is a pretty good deal, and we may even want to stock up a little bit and put it in the freezer. There's also some great sales on chicken as well. And then on the front side, some fantastic produce deals. Purchasing non-prepped produce is really a money saver over the course of time. For example, 1 pound of Brussels sprouts, 98 cents this week, versus the pre-shredded, which can be up to $3 or more per bag. So a lot of good savings there. So think making some meals out of the deals. The second tip is to really stick to your list, and especially if you have helpers coming with you, you may want to give them their own list so that they can also practice really sticking to the list. Studies show that when you go hungry or when you're not sticking to your list, that you can purchase up to 28% more than what you normally would when you do just stay to your list. And one thing that I find really helpful in our family is we have a savings jar. So when we say no, whether it's to the latte or something else like that, we can put it in the jar and really save it up for things that we can do either together as a family or for big purchases, because those small savings really add up. And speaking of adding up, the third tip is to really mind your beverage budget. For example, a grande latte every 5 days out of the week over the course of the year is over $1,100. One sparkling water, I know these aren't exact examples, but it's what I had in the pantry, but 1 sparkling water every single day adds up to about $200 per year. And then these cute little coffee cups that are so convenient can also really put a bang into the budget too, at adding up to almost $200 over the course of the year too. So we tend to think of these beverages not only just as free items with calories, but we also tend to not really think of them as to how they affect our budget when we go shopping too. So the more we can incorporate water into our diet, the less we're going to be spending on those things, and the better for our health over time as well. And then we want to think about what we can cook once to hopefully eat twice or 3 times. And one of my favorites is to just throw a whole chicken into the crock pot, cook it all day long, 10+ hours. You get some great broth from that as well. Just layer the crock pot with onions, salt and pepper, a couple cups of water, cook that baby 10-12 hours. You get some great broth, and then you also get this fantastic shredded chicken that you can make chicken bowls of all different kinds of flavors, burritos, tons of different things. So to be able to really do that, invest in some fantastic glass bottom, plastic top storage containers. So when you're prepping earlier once a week, or maybe even just storing your leftovers from dinner, you can make yourself a few different lunches throughout the week. And then consider meatless Mondays. So that's number 5, meatless Mondays. Beans, organic sprouted tofu, edamame, so not going to the processed vegan or vegetarian foods, but really sticking with the whole food as much as possible to replace those more expensive animal protein sources. And then the 6th tip is what I feel is the most important, and that is really changing our mindset. We are one of only 8 countries that spend less than 10% of our budget, our overall budget, on food. Everybody else in the world spends 20% or more. We've come very accustomed to huge portions, cheap and fast. And that's just kind of where our culture is right now. And it's hard when you're constantly surrounded by that to really take a breath, take some time, reflect, and think about what are your priorities. And one thing that always helps me is the fact that I was raised by two amazing women in my life. My grandmother, who was a mother of 10, and then my mom, who raised the three of us on her own. And so whenever I get kind of whiny about wanting things fast and quick, I mean, I can count on one hand how many times we went out to eat in a single year. And it just means that it's about prioritize. And of course, in those situations, it wasn't much of it was a need, a monetary need, more than a health priority. But really, like, what is your priority? What is your why? And take a moment to just write that down. So when you have those whiny moments, which we all will during this challenge, you can go back and reflect to that deep core value as to why you're doing this. And let me give you a hint. It is always, always more than just the weight loss. All right, so remember, strategies are what win out over time, over willpower, strategies over willpower, and until next time, be well.